Hello everyone, it is Caitlin, and today we are making an 1830 straw bonnet. Alright, so bonnet. I am working on the round currently to make out the very tip, so the very top point of the bonnet. In fact, let me go get another bonnet to show you what I mean. So this is a bonnet I made for a client, which I almost never do, but yeah, this is this one. Let me move the camera up so you can see just slightly better. Okay, so what I'm working on is this part in the round, and this stuff does not like to stay in the round, and so I had to do it, and then I had to block it, which is getting it wet, putting it between something that's absorbing. So like I did paper towels, I've done fabric, I think I did fabric this time, and I put a very heavy pile of books on top of it. So where my hardcover illustrated Harry Potter books come in handy, because I just stack them all on top, and yeah, it flattens it out really well. So it's pretty flat now. And we're going to start going down to form this part of the bonnet. So let's look at this again. I should probably just leave this out for the remainder of this video. You'll see that when we look at it, this part is in the back is much longer, and this part is shorter. So what we need to do is graduate our the lengths of our braid here, and overlap it less in the back so we get more of the braid showing, and we need to overlap it quite frequently over here to make it shorter. So I just marked it in half, so I can basically make the decision now if I want which side I want to work on. So I've been working on the back on this one. I don't know why I started working on the back, but I did, so this is what I'm doing. And I've already kind of started working on this one, as in continuing to do what I did, which is just overlapping the very points of the braid. So there's a edge here and an edge here. I've just been overlapping those, and that's how this is going to create the back part here. And so in a second, when we get to the other part, we'll start working on the front. It's actually the second time I'm working on this, because the first time I poked my finger really bad and didn't notice it, and I got blood all over the bonnet, which was so much fun. And I didn't even notice because it was like tiny little droplets, but then I got it wet to block it, and it spread. So now I have like a tie-dye pink and sage bonnet, which is fun. So yeah, this is the second time I've had to do this. And at this point we want the bonnet to kind of start going on this down shape. So I'm no longer going to block it to be flat. Alright, so change of plan. So this was not working. No matter how big I made the circle, because I enlarged it a couple times, it's coming out quite sad looking, and this is nowhere near the size it needs to be. Like, that's not working. So you look at it inside, it's not enlarging at all. So that didn't work. So what I did is I have an 1830s bonnet pattern. It's by Lynn McMaster. So I took the pattern piece, traced it onto basically very thin paper, used it as a pattern piece, and now I get to rip away all this brown paper, which is the fun part. Basically, it's the exact same thing I did for my 1860s bonnet when I made a straw bonnet of that. Very thin craft paper, and then I'm going to pull apart all the paper so that we're left with just the straw part. So it's a little bit more time consuming, but I got the shape right finally. It's not going to be great because you should really be starting and doing the whole thing in the round, but I'll just take this apart and I'll use this. I have extra of this. It will attach them to where it looks like the braid broke, and I just attached a new braid. So it'll still look fine. I will say this pattern piece was notoriously difficult to make look okay. And I got kind of wonky a couple times, but overall I think it'll be okay. Whatever looks really weird, I can cover with bows and ribbons. So yeah, I'm going to be here for a while pulling apart paper. Alright, so I am putting on the tip on the crown. So I did take out all the paper, or most of the paper. There's a few little bits in there, but I'm not going to worry about it. So let me go ahead and finish this sewing. I just made the tip as big as the circumference of the hole, and now I'm just sewing it together. And so it looks like it was sewn in one piece, even though it wasn't. So that is a good thing. Once I make this brim and we put it on, that's basically the frame. We'll just have to wire it at that point. And now we have a brim. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all this excess off. It's easier just to make it a little bit bigger and then trim it. That's what I have found. There we go. And now I get to pull all the paper off this one, at which point we get to wire the frame. Well, I guess we got to put the frame together first, but then we can wire it. I am very nearly done with the frame here, or the whatever this is. So, so here we are. I am working on currently getting this ready to wire, and so I took the finished piece. Sorry, dog. The dog likes it right underneath my camera, and she moves it. Sorry. Okay, so I just put 2 pieces of braid, and I sandwiched them in, with the frame, with the bonnet form between them, and so that gives me a nice finished edge all the way around that we can put our wire in a second. So I've just been attaching this, trying to make sure it looks nice in the edges here. And I've been kind of doing a running stitch and kind of doing a space back stitch, kind of depending on the section. We're going to wire it now. So I have some millinery wire, and I am not entirely sure of the gauge. This is a little thicker than I like it to be, so it's probably more like 18 or 19. Because I think that's the largest that I buy. I think I usually prefer the 20 to 22 gauge wire for bonnets. But you don't want it too thin because you still want it to like maintain a shape. So I cut whatever I needed from this. I'm going to get it about in half. And we're going to stick it right between the sandwich that we made. There we go. All the way around. Sometimes it's easier to actually stitch it in. So this will help the bonnet maintain its shape and not be all floppy. Alright, I'm working on the facing of the bonnet, which is just a silk piece that kind of covers the brim. So I chose to do a gathery one. You can also set them plain. I like the look of the gathery ones, so that's what I almost always choose. So yeah, I just kind of barely tacked it on, very fine stitches around here, very plainly. Set a gathering stitch down here and just gathered it to fit this area here. So I'm just attaching it with fairly loose stitches. I'm not being too particular. I'm making sure the small stitches are on the outside though, so you don't see like giant stitches on the outside. This is all going to get hidden in a second. Alright, I'm going to see if I don't have to tie that off. So here's what I was going to choose for lining. Stick that in here and hope it fits. I can always just cut it down or something, but I thought it was going to be too big. Okay. I can always cut it down if I need to, but let's check. I usually prefer this to be an organdy, but this is tarlatan today, so I don't mind it for the 1830s bonnets as much, simply because the 1830s bonnets, none of this is touching my head because it sits literally on top of your head. So it's not like I'm going to feel any of this rough fabric here. Alright, I'm going to sew this down, and once this is sewn in, then it's trim time. So this is the last part of the boring part of bonnet making, what I consider the boring part. After this, it's the fun part. And we have a finished frame. So I think it turned out really well. it looks like an 1830s bonnet, so that's a plus. So yeah, I am ready to work on trimming. I think we're going to start with the curtain, or bavoulet. And so I have all this ribbon. I'm looking at an original, I think it's a little earlier than what I'm doing, probably more 1820s. But it's a straw bonnet, and finding straw bonnets from this early is kind of hard, extant ones. And so we're going to use it as our inspiration in terms of using our ribbon instead of actually making a straw bavoulet, using this. So, let me see, I need approximately 14 inches all the way across. So 14 to cover it, but I also need it not gathered, but pleated. Alright, I had to change angles because the camera needed to be charged, and this is the only angle that I have a plug. So, let's see, we were at 14 inches to cover it, but I also need it pleated. So twice that would be 28. Let's do 30 inches. But if we need to pleat like a little bit of it, we can. Okay, that looks much better. We're just going to pleat this like really lightly. And kind of by feel, I'm about doing my stitching about where this, the wire braid ends. So that's what the first part of it looks like. I think that looks pretty close. Yeah, it's a little fuller than the original, but I think full is fine. So once we get this on, we'll do like ties, and I have some flowers to put on this and that sort of thing. Bows. There's going to be a giant bow. At least one. I haven't decided if I'm going to put another one or not. And there's our pretty curtain. I'm liking how neutral this is, which is the gray and the straw color, and the flowers I have are white. So I'm going to like how this will go with everything. So I'm looking at a fashion plate. It's actually the same fashion plate I used to make the coloring for the brown silk dress. And I'm really liking that bonnet. It just has like the flowers sticking out over here. I think that's kind of cool. So I think we're going to go with that. I think first we're going to make ties. And I'm thinking about just making the ties kind of connected to come out here. So I'm going to measure, oh my goodness, I just have ribbons. About 30 inches, I think, for ties, right? They don't look terribly long. And then I need to measure the length of this, which I'm going to do some puffing, so I'm going to need a little bit extra. More or less this, and then 30 inches for the end of the tie. And this part you can't see in the fashion plate at all, so this is just me making this fit. So I want to mark halfway. How many inches do I have here? 9 inches. So let's go ahead and mark here. That may be enough. And I'm going to make little shirrings, which is the gathering thread, along each of these lines. And now with all of this done, I have 5 of them, so there's one directly in the middle, so I gotta find the direct middle of the bonnet. I'm gonna pull my little gathering thread, and it's gonna fit right up here. Somehow. This is where the angle of the camera is gonna get a little difficult. So what I might do is go ahead and just run through once to kind of pull that gathering tight. There we go. I guess I do need to measure like exactly where half is, because eyeballing this probably isn't going to work. It is 14 1/4, so 7 1/8 would be halfway exactly. 7 1/8 is roughly right here. It's not really what I would have said, but okay. Glad we measured that. Alright. Here's this. And we're just going to fit this on top and tack it down somehow. There we go. I think one stitch on top and one stitch on the bottom should be okay. And keep it in place. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to tie this off inside the bonnet. Alright, let's do the side here. We'll do it the same way. Alright, here we are. I did have to redo the ties real quick because they ended up being a little bit too short. They were actually short, and then I tried to do the dovetail edging, just like the fashion plate shows, and I messed it up by doing it wrong, inverted, and so yeah, I had to recut them. I used the rest of the ribbon to do that, but we have this now, that was the old ties, to put on the flowers. And I know I was going to do a giant bow on the side, but I really, really like how that looks just itself. So I think we're going to put the flowers on here and then tie a bow in the back. So that way this still stays, because I like the look of that. So let's see, I have my flowers here. I'm going to find the center of this ribbon and go ahead and tie it around. It looks like it's wrapped pretty well on the fashion plate. And I can use this to hide that join. And then kind of use this to pull itself around. Now I'll have to tie this down in just a second. But I think that looks okay for now. Okay. I like how that looks. I might go ahead and do a stitch right in this knot. I wonder if I put more of those little quillings and I did like one on either side. Kind of where they are now. Oh, that sounds pretty. Let's do that. Something at least to hold it down. And I'm going to put a stitch down here as well. I think other than that, it's pretty good. So let's go ahead and tie that off. I'm thinking I do need a bonnet stake, because I had it on my head a second ago, and it just wanted to flop from side to side. And that's just a little piece of velvet that's going to catch, that we're going to put like right here, to catch my hair, to keep it on. Alright, now that those are somewhat together, let me figure out exactly the halfway point. From here to here, that's 8 inches. So there's my 4-inch mark. We're going to do it right in between. So it's not quite on the line I did last. It's kind of next to it. Alright, so I have the string down on both sides now. So there it is on side 1 and side 2 as well. And I kind of rearranged the front just slightly, so it kind of looks like this part's going up and this part's down. And I kind of like that. I'm thinking this is a good amount of fullness of flowers. The original showed 4. Timely Tresses only had 3 in stock, so I picked all 3. And I actually kind of like it. I think 4 would have been, I would not have known where to put the 4th one, I think. So I'm glad I only had 3 to work with. But I'm going to, I tied a knot here for my start of my bow. I'm just going to put this in here a couple times just to hold it in place. Probably, oops, I lost my needle. There we go. And I'll probably leave this needle in here, that way I can use it to tie off the bow in a second. Alright, let's see. Bow time. and I can cut it off whatever point I want, but I do want a fairly decent sized bow, and this is the 1830s here. We do crazy here. I think that looks pretty good. And this, honestly, it wouldn't look bad if I just left it. Let's see. You know what I might do? I might take it out and make the bow further down here. I like that idea. I think, yeah, lower is better. And a lot of the back bows I am seeing are close to the curtains, so let's go ahead and move that further down to right there. And I'll stitch this in. Alright, now we're going to put this back to kind of hold it for a second. Now let's see if we can get a bow that looked as good as the one we just did a second ago. There we go, there's one side. Alright, that can go in a little bit, I think. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think we'll cut these off just a couple inches in. So let me go ahead and sew on this. I'm having a hard time getting this needle through, and I can't tell if the needle is dull or if it's just so many layers. It's just taking its sweet time working all the way through. There. Alright. That is cute. I think it's a good sized bow. And then it's kind of in the front. That is adorable. Okay, let's cut these off. Maybe right here-ish. Okay, there we go. And that was a little bit shorter, but I think I kind of like them slightly different. Alright. We have a completed 1830s bonnet. It is absolutely precious. I don't even like the 30s. Like, this is so cute. This is going to look so good. There's a fabric in there I'm making a dress out of eventually that would look so good with this. Let me get it out. Here's a part of it. Like, wouldn't that just be the perfect little summer outfit? Like it's semi-sheer too, so it's like super light. It'll just be the perfect summer outfit. I cannot wait. That is awesome. But that dress isn't made up yet, so I guess I'll get on the other cotton dress that we made, and we'll see what it looks like on, because it's absolutely precious the way it is here. Alright, real quick prior to that bonnet stay, I just tried it on for a second and I realized we needed it. So let's see if I can find the center again. This is just a piece of velvet ribbon. That I'm going to just tack on right here. I'm not sure what good it's going to do because technically I'm wearing a cap in the 1830s, so I don't know if this is really going to hold a cap down or not. Once I get stitched on, we'll try a dress on. Alright, all done up in the 1830s, ready to try on a bonnet. I apologize in advance, the dress is not done up in the back. If you've seen me make the brown silk dress, you know I don't have anyone in the house to help me get dressed, and so I can't reach back there with these giant poofy sleeves, so it's undone. It's like pinned slightly at the waist, but I apologize, you're going to be able to see the corset. But we're really looking at the bonnet anyway now, aren't we? So I chose a blue cap today. Yeah, so I could wear it with really any of my caps, but let's see. Fits it over the hair nicely. That's always a good thing when it fits over the hair. So I have quite a substantial amount of hair. We want to make these nice and poofy. Here we go, there's one. There we go. And there's the bonnet. It turned out adorable. Absolutely adorable. These are from the side. And the back. But yes, like it is completely adorable. And it's very plain. Like I did set it plainer than I had meant to originally, but I am very happy that we did so. I think it looks absolutely precious. It is on straight, is it not? I think it is. It's hard to tell. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see far. I can't see into the camera to see if it's on straight, so I'm going to hope it's straight. And yes, I do wear glasses. I don't think I've ever seen me in glasses, but yes. Yeah, that's totally adorable. And I'm very glad we made it all from scratch. Used a little bit of a pattern, but had to modify the pattern quite a bit, as I usually do. with that particular pattern. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I don't usually like doing straw work, and the actual form making wasn't fun, but it turned out good. And I'm glad that we did it. So I have an 1830 straw bonnet now. So like, I don't even like the 1830s, okay? I don't. But I love this bonnet. This may be one of my favorite bonnets ever. Like, I love it. It's very strange. So yeah. It's the 1830 straw bonnet. It is absolutely adorable. I love the shaping of it. Like, it looks really good. I think the crown could have been maybe about an inch shorter, but it really isn't that bad. And like the angles and that sort of thing, they're all good. So yay, 1830s bonnet. It is totally adorable. And it looks really good, and I love the neutrality of it. Like, I just love that it's going to go with any dress that I want it to go with, any dress that I have, any dress that's in the costume closet, well, not costume, the fabric closet, that hasn't been made up yet. It's going to go with any of those fabrics. It's just so very neutral. This is probably the bonnet I'm going to wear most often, because most of what I do in like, I live in Texas, okay? So most of what I do is warm weather stuff, and so a straw bonnet is going to be perfect. And the fact that it goes with everything is just great. So I could not be happier with this. Working from straw, from the braid to a bonnet, you know, finishing the bonnet and then trimming it, it could not have ended up better. So yeah, very, very happy with it. I don't even think I really needed to put in the bonnet stay, the little velvet piece, because like my hair keeps it together. Like, I can completely pull my head all the way back and it's not coming off. Yay for 1830s hair. So yeah, like, this is awesome. Yes, that is the 1830s straw bonnet. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I hope you enjoyed the journey as well, and I shall see you in the next video.